All right, let's just dive right into this one. We've all been there, right? Stuck in one of those workplace arguments that is just so incredibly frustrating. In this explainer, we're going to pull this whole thing apart and really figure out what's going on beneath the surface.
It always starts with this line. It's such a classic. Think of it less as an argument and more like a reflex, a verbal airbag that just deploys the second you get called out. It's pure instinct, something that's been installed in a lot of us since our very first job.
And then, boom, there it is, the inevitable counterpunch. This is the checkmate question, the one that's designed to just completely shut down the conversation. It feels totally unbeatable, and you're just stuck.
So, what we're really watching here isn't some genuine debate about who's right or who's responsible. Nah, it's something else. It's more like a cultural ritual, this predictable standoff that we all just kind of recognize when we see it.
Yeah, this whole back and forth feels like it's straight out of a script. It's like we all know our lines. It's just an inescapable part of a certain kind of work culture. And frankly, the outcome feels like it's already decided before you even say a word. But what if you could break that script? What if you had the perfect, logical comeback? Well, in this next part, we're going to try out a seemingly flawless argument and just see what happens. This should be interesting. See, the trick isn't to argue their point. The trick is to use their own broken logic against them. Let's set the stage for a little bit of what you might call conversational judo. Imagine just saying this. You can feel the air in the room just change, can't you? You're giving them an order they can't possibly follow rationally. You've just thrown a totally unexpected wrench into the whole system.
And you don't stop there. You press the advantage. You point out, hey, you just rejected my command, my order to get angry. You're literally mirroring their exact extreme logic right back in their face.
And here it is, the final move, the logical checkmate. You've just proven that everybody, including your boss, has a line they will not cross, just because they were ordered to. By every rational measure, you've won. You've totally won the argument. But here's the crazy part. By winning the logical battle, you have completely lost the social one. Suddenly, you're difficult. You're uncooperative. You're the person everyone's going to start avoiding. The situation isn't fixed. Oh no, it is much, much worse. So what happened? Why did that perfect comeback fail so spectacularly? Well, to get it, we have to look past the actual words being said and start to understand this invisible force that's really running the show. This brings us to a really fascinating Japanese concept called Kuki. It literally translates to the air. And while the word is Japanese, the idea is pretty universal. It's that unspoken atmosphere, that unwritten rulebook that tells us how we're all supposed to act to keep the peace. This really breaks down the conflict, doesn't it? On one side, you've got logic, which is all about finding the truth. But on the other side, and weighing a whole lot more in this situation, is the air. You were playing the game of logic, but your boss, they were playing an entirely different game, the game of social harmony and, most importantly, hierarchy. And this is the absolute key takeaway here. In a world that's run by the air, being logically right can actually make you socially wrong. Your perfect argument, because it was, well, too correct, was actually seen as an attack on the whole vibe of the situation. So that leads us to how that air is actually enforced, because it's not about who's right or wrong on the facts. It's about understanding the real rules of power that are actually in play here. When you hit them with that perfect logical comeback, your boss isn't sitting there thinking, maybe they have a point. No, their internal monologue is screaming something totally different. It's all about your failure to perform the expected ritual of just giving in. You see, you thought you were in a debate. They thought you were in a ceremony. And by trying to win with logic, you basically just stormed the stage and disrupted a sacred ritual of power. And that, my friend, is a much bigger crime than whatever the original mistake was. This staircase just lays it all out, doesn't it? They don't jump straight to the crazy stuff. First, it's a warning. Then they point it out. Then you get the lecture. When none of that works, they escalate. That die comment, it's not a real question. It's the final desperate move. It's the last card in their hand to try and get back control. Okay, so we've taken the whole problem apart. We know that trying to win with logic is a losing game. So what do you do instead? Let's talk about a smarter, more effective way to handle this. The goal here isn't to win, and it isn't to lose.
It's to navigate. You want to acknowledge their feedback and, yeah, their position of power, but without totally giving up your own dignity in the process. It's a fine line.
So let's look at the options. You've got your standard submissive replies. Then you've got the advanced one, which is better. It shows you're thinking ahead. But that expert level reply, I will use your feedback as a reference. Now that is something special.
So why is that so good? Well, it's because it just perfectly threads the needle. You are absolutely showing respect. You're acknowledging their input. But, and this is key, you're not actually agreeing with them or promising to follow their advice blindly. You get to keep the power of your own judgment.
Which brings us all the way back to the ultimate answer for that unwinnable question. When they ask, so if I told you to die, would you die? The perfect answer is this: I won't die, but I will learn from it. It's brilliant, it's respectful, and it just completely diffuses everything while letting you walk away with your dignity intact. And that really leaves us with this one last thing to think about. We started this whole thing with a simple, annoying argument. But it kind of pulls back the curtain on a deeper truth, doesn't it? In a world that's run by these unspoken rules, by the air, is being smart really about winning the argument? Or is it about understanding the game you're actually playing and learning how to master it?